So welcome back to the Bootleg Corner movie review hours once again. Like I said earlier in the teaser video, this one was requested by a friend. So the title of the movie I am going to be talking about is The Old Guard Part 2. Now, for those of you who've been following this channel since the early days, you know what I said when I did the review of The Old Guard Part 1. I wasn't expecting, or even I wasn't expecting there to be any funding, any inclination, any plans to make any Old Guard continuation. But here we are 2 or 3 years later, and there is an Old Guard Part 2 starring most of the actors we saw the first time, as if that wasn't enough to see them the first time on our screens. But second installation in the franchise of this movie, if you recall how the first one ended, it was with them finding Queen at the bottom of the sea, and this one begun in similar fashion. Now, all my complaints about the Old Guard Part 1 were ever present in Part 2, and for those of you who weren't here, let me just recount them once again. The first thing I said was these guys did not look, act, or feel in any way immortal. I said believability was lacking sorely in this movie. They did not feel immortal, they did not act, they did not think like it, they did not look like people who had been at the base, at the fountain of knowledge for thousands of years. They just acted like they were normal. There was nothing special, nothing distinctive about these guys. There was, when you compare an immortal, someone like Ra's al Ghul or Wanda Savage in DC universe, you see how they act, how they move, how their emotions are kept in check, how they have high level of tolerance to pain, high level of intelligence. These guys, I mean, they feel very, very ordinary. And if that wasn't enough, starting up this movie, they went into this guy's house trying to capture him or whatever. But they were going for a mission, and every single one of them was just dressed as if they stepped outside to get food or they were going for a walk. I mean, we could rationalize that by saying that these guys are immortal, they don't need it, and they can breathe anyhow. But look at this guy, Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's not an immortal, he's absolutely normal. And he didn't bring any bulletproof, there was absolutely no combat gear with these guys. Absolutely no combat gear with these guys. So like, when you start off movies like this, I'm already put off a little bit, because you are playing with my time. Let's just call it that way. You are playing with my time, and you are playing with the time of everybody who has set aside time to watch your movie. But starting up this movie, guys going in to invade a compound, a secret mission, or what that's it's a mission at least, and nobody is on serious timing. They are on normal flannel shirts and trousers. Even the guys that is not immortal, he's not even wearing anything. They didn't even bring guns. They did not even bring guns to show you how relaxed, how laissez-faire this thing is. So it's just, when you start off movies like this, give off a very, what's the word again? Give off a very unserious vibe. You give off a very unserious vibe. And that was one of the complaints I made about the first installation of this movie. They have a story through, but I don't think the right ideas or not the right people, because we've seen all these actors in different movies and they've looked phenomenal. So when all of them now meet in one movie and they look like they don't know what they are doing, obviously there's someone who has to carry the blame for that, and I'm thinking that should be the director, the producer, or whoever was in charge of putting this movie together. Now, past that, I think in this sequence, this action scene here was very nice. Let's move away from criticism now to appreciation. This action scene here, where they were driving and his leg broke and he came back, and all that, it was really fucking nice. I give them credit for that. That was a nice part of this movie. Now, the next character I'm going to talk about is Queen, who was at the bottom of the sea for thousands of years, locked in a coffin, dying and waking up 1,000,000 times over. And within months of her being brought out of the sea, she was perfectly fine. Now, those of you who remember Vampire Diaries, remember there was an episode, I think, where Silas locked Stefan in a box and threw him into a lake and left him there for like an entire summer. And Stefan was dying and coming back, like the same stuff. But we could see that when Stefan got rescued, we could see the trauma he went, because it's crazy. Dying and coming back 1,000,000, like your mind is not going to remain the same. You get broken to a certain level. So don't come and tell me that in this movie, someone who has died and come back more times than Stefan did throughout the entire summer in Vampire Diaries. He did that for over, how long was she in that box? For over 500 or 1,000 years. And you are telling me within 5 months she's perfectly fine. Even if she can recover, she can be fine. Okay, man, she's supposed to have that level, a certain level of rage, a certain level of madness. She's supposed to even if she's not the villain of the movie, she's supposed to be an important character point in this movie. But she just came out normal, then angry that she wants to destroy the world, and that's just it. There should be a certain level of psychosis, a certain level of craziness, a certain level of derangement about her. She should not be okay. She should not be okay. Both on the part of her having died and survived 1,000,000 times over, cold and alone at the bottom of the sea freezing, waking up. Then the other part of Andromache having abandoned her and not being the one to pull out of the ocean for over how many thousand. Like when you collapse these things together, you have the perfect excuse for a villain. You have the perfect character. You've combined two traumatic events together, and that is a perfect step up to build a villain. And in the end, she's just a side character who is not even the main thing, and they are giving us Discord as the main villain. You cannot just give everyone the end of the movie at the beginning. That's way too cheap. That's way too easy. Way too easy. You name your villain Discord without showing why or how she became Discord or why she became the way she is. And the person who has a perfect backstory for this movie is relegated to a side character. I mean, these are the things you see when you're watching the movie. You start like, what is wrong here? I talked about believability. That was one of my first ever videos talking about believability in movies, how they can achieve it and how a movie lacks it. And this is one of those movies that lack believability at every single corner. At every single point of this movie. There's no willingness or no intention to make the audience feel something. And that was one of the reasons I didn't want to watch it at first. Because after watching part one, I just knew that there was absolutely no way they were going to come up with something better. Then, like I said, my friend said I had to do this, so I'm in front of the camera. Now, I'm not bashing the movie just because I have to, but I've watched it, I've seen it, and I did not feel anything remotely close to being interested in seeing the next one. And when you want to build a franchise like this, these are the things you want to do. Keep people interested in seeing the next one, either by storyline, plot, character, or something. Like something. Make the people feel something that makes them excited for the next one. Don't leave it until the end. Maybe you now do is a cliffhanger and give us a bit part cut that okay, we want to like make the story worth watching. And watching all this, the story hasn't been clicking all this far. Then this Asian guy named Tua, and I think this is maybe someone wanted to play on the Hawk Tua word or something. That's how they named the guy Tua, because I don't think I've ever seen an Asian guy named Tua that was spelled like this. These are the things. Like when I say this movie is very unserious, it sounds as if it was made by it was a fan-made movie that was just made with a limited budget or something. But it's a serious studio movie on Netflix with serious actors, with serious budgets, and a serious cast who have combined together to make a movie that is not worth watching. Now, funny enough, in the beginning of this movie, when they went to invade these other guys' house, they did not take any tactical gear or anything of the sort. Now, at the end of the movie, when they were going to this Indonesian nuclear facility, is when they remember that they could take all their tactical gear and stuff. Maybe they did not take that guy serious or something. That was the implication, but it's just a weird dichotomy between the two things and the level of seriousness they approached it with. Now, past that, the last fight scene of this movie was nice. I won't lie, even if it was in 1.25, if I put it, it was nice. It had a lot of depth, a lot of feeling, and then Discord finally showed the level of steel I've been expecting any immortal to show in this movie. Her level of pain tolerance was to say it was admirable now, like be putting it in a too high pedestal, but it was the level of expectation I had. For anyone who has lived over 1,000 years, you've been used to dying, you've been used to pain, you've been used to a lot of, so like little things should not be facing them anymore. When Booker got caught and he was holding his hand, I was like thinking like, you guys are beyond this. The human body is nothing if not adaptable, and these guys have been the epitome of adaptability for over 1,000 years. There's no type of pain, no type of death, no type of thing they have not felt or seen. And you are telling me there are little cuts and things that they are feeling like. These are the things you have to put into consideration when making a movie about things like this. And Discord was the only one in the entirety of this movie among the immortals who showed any level of concreteness, of steel, of willpower to go through pain as if it was nothing. And when she was doing it, she was even mortal at that point. So like, I don't know. And it's a pity that it's coming at the end of this movie when they are trying to set up the next chapter. They are trying to create a cliffhanger for the next character and the next whatever part will be that Andromache will go and save our guys and stuff like that. But coming at this point of the movie, it's a bit too late for me to develop any kind of interest or any kind of willpower or what's the word again, just to go and see part 3. But the Old Guard part 2, I think the reason I'm not disappointed that sounds funny saying this, because I've just 90% of everything I've said about this movie hasn't been in any positive light. But I am not disappointed. I don't know what the word is, but I'm not that thing with the movie because I did not have any real expectations going into this. Seeing part 1, how they handled part 1 and butchered it, I knew I wasn't going to see part 2. But I had to review this movie, as I said, as a request from a friend. Now, if you haven't seen The Old Guard Part 2 and you are planning to see this, please reduce your expectations. Reduce your expectations to the barest minimum so you won't come out disappointed. If you saw The Old Guard and you enjoyed it, I think these are one of those things. Maybe what the other words I used to describe movies. But like I said, personally for me, this was not a movie I would be recommending to anyone, either as filler or as a main movie you should watch. And I think my experience was I can't describe it as sour because I didn't have any expectations going into it, but it's just one of those movies you watch and you forget. There is nothing remotely exciting, remotely entertaining to keep you hooked or to keep you waiting for the next one. It's just one of those movies in a long list of movies that don't really move the needle in any way, direction, or form. I'm still your host, the Bootleg God on the Bootleg Corner. Don't forget to subscribe, to follow, to comment, to like, to share, and all that stuff. Keep it locked in, and I'll be back.